Characters are the backbone for every fighting game, from their personality to overall game feel. And for Smash specifically, choosing a main opens you up to a brand new community of players who share your character. Naturally, this results in each base rooting for their characters whenever they appear at tournaments, and the vast majority of them have a player at the top level, pushing their main to the absolute limits. Cloud has Spargo, Snake has Apollo Kage, Steve has Aquila, and Incineroar has Skyjay. However, some characters are still left looking for a top player to truly showcase their potential. I am, of course, talking about Mewtwo. Throughout the majority of Ultimate, Mewtwo's top representative reserved him as a secondary before being bounced from the Smash community due to questionable actions outside of the game. I am not here to comment on the drama surrounding that, but I am here to tackle a series of questions in response to his absence. Who are the current best Mewtwo players? What is keeping them from top player status? And who has the greatest potential of snagging the title of Mewtwo King? Let's start with a player most Mewtwo players recognize, Anvil. As the #1 ranked player in Oslo, Norway, and the #1 Mewtwo labber since Ultimate's inception, very few have pushed the Mewtwo meta as far as him. First aspect we have to talk about is his defense. Despite the new combos and kill confirms he posts on Twitter, Anvil boasts one of the best defensive and most disciplined Mewtwo's in the world, with a neutral almost completely defined by his use of Shadow Ball. He loves dashing back to charge, both to land chip damage and scout for options, while these retreating jump charges stop opponents from recklessly jumping in with aerials. This naturally forces out jumps and shields, which plays right into what Anvil wants to punish. He lands a surprising number of stray grabs. This was a great read on the shield dash, while here he low profiles Whoopi's forward air with a dash back, and instead of throwing the Shadow Ball, Anvil grabs to punish the shield habit. His anticipation of up air is also exceptional. Here he catches Maru's lazy landing. Note the Shadow Ball charge to bait out the double jump. And here he Shadow Balls just in time to clank with Pfeiffer's immediate approach, charges again to bait out the jump, which gets forward aired, which ultimately ends in a really nice edge guard. This sequence was insane. Anvil charges to force a jump, which he anti-airs, shoots the Shadow Ball again to force another successful anti-air, then shoots one more small Shadow Ball to bait out an air dodge right into a down smash for an incredible stock. And being the lab rat he is, Anvil plays a very tactical Mewtwo, surrounded by specific but effective techniques. You rarely see Mewtwo's drag down Nair into F-tilt, but for Anvil it's a bread and butter. Additionally, he is by far the best user of tap shield cancels, the mechanical inputs are second nature for him, and he likes canceling his double jump with Shadow Ball in neutral, adding another level of complexity to his game plan. Vidal has him off stage here, but this beautifully timed double jump canceled Shadow Ball brought Anvil right back into the game. However, I also think this added complexity is currently his biggest weakness. Because of how much physical and mental energy it takes, Anvil has been a bit vulnerable in longer bracket runs. As sets go long, he tends to opt for a more bare bones playstyle. He isn't moving nearly as fluidly as he was 2 games ago. But even when sets are short, Anvil has struggled against players and characters that force out quick reactions. This set against Taric was particularly rough and really highlights the difference in speed. Rushdown playstyles leave little to no time for Anvil to properly condition and scout, and the few neutral interactions he did win only resulted in stray hits. This added complexity has also resulted in temporary lapses in judgment. Here he regains center stage well, but then decides to dash back Shadow Ball 3 times in a row, giving up stage control and running himself into a corner. Of course, some of these details are nitpicking. No player is perfect, and Anvil still plays a fantastic Mewtwo. There's a reason he's arguably the best. But what makes Anvil particularly interesting is his game plan and strategy will only get better. From what we just looked at, a lot of his faults are due to him running out of gas due to the constant mechanical dexterity and decision making. But as he develops and builds up his conditioning, we may very well see a well-oiled machine with the best defense and a flurry of powerful combo finishers. But Anvil isn't alone on the Mewtwo mountain. For reference, let's go back to NA, more specifically Canada. As the number 7 player in Montreal, Remrin brings a completely different style of Mewtwo to the table. Rather than winning through tech and defense, she leverages Mewtwo's strengths to bolster one of the best advantage states in the game. Rem plays a relatively standard neutral. These Foxtrots and Shadow Balls are simple yet effective at creating space. It isn't until she wins neutral where she turns it into high gear. Here she whiffs a confusion, but knowing Kazuya's slow jump squat, she safely jumps back to avoid all incoming attacks, catches him with a confusion before launching him off stage to punish this lazy recovery. And in the literal next stock, she converts beautifully on this forward air, waits for the NA air dodge, before going deeper than she has any right to. She lands this nice pivot grab to reinitiate the edgeguard sequence and threaten a JV4. Let's focus on edgeguarding for a second here, because I believe this is where she truly distinguishes herself. This Shadow Ball into grab was textbook, she dashes back to catch the greedy landing, and this leads to a beautiful B reverse mix-up to finish off the edgeguard. Here's another B reverse edgeguard, but this time Cat barely lives the back air, and Remrin positions herself below him to force a high recovery and teleports back to the stage to finish off the stock. This aggression also allows her to blow up stocks more than any other Mewtwo I've seen. This second dash attack screams confidence, she notices Cat burns his jump here, and this leads to an easy punish on the air dodge. And while not to the same degree as Anvil, Rem has a couple techniques up her sleeve. From my eye test, she is the only high-level Mewtwo truly implementing Footstool Disable. This one was beautiful to close out Grands. Remrin boasts an incredible edgeguarding game, and ultimately this speciality makes her a threat at all times. However, her reliance on advantage state is a double-edged sword, as she tends to autopilot in neutral and disadvantage a bit more than I'm comfortable with. Here she's caught swinging for the fences, missing one dash attack and mashing neutral air out of shield. Speaking of which, Rem does have a noticeable shield habit, and does find herself getting grabbed quite a lot throughout a set. In the same stock, Snacks grabs her not one, not two, but 3 straight interactions. Also, part of what makes her such a good edgeguarder is she tries every edgeguard in the game. Armadillo's off stage, Rem will edgeguard. Bowser's recovering, Rem will edgeguard. Ivy's off stage, of course that's an edgeguard. Note the greedy forward air back to stage that got punished. Some of these are too risky, but the ideas are there. Meanwhile, Rem is gathering more data to how her opponents want to get back to stage. And this shouldn't take away from her claim as the best edgeguarder. If she tightens up her neutral and disadvantage, she can easily take that next step to top player stardom. Last but certainly not least is a Japanese player who made a name for himself during the pandemic, Kento. Now, if I'm being honest, Kento is a difficult player to analyze, mostly because the vast majority of his tournaments are online. While I firmly believe Kento can place well at offline events, the online environment he plays in is an important asterisk I have to include in this analysis. That aside, let's get into it. As we've seen, the 2 previous Mewtwo's have honed in on a specific part of their game. Anvil has labbed out Shadow Ball tech in neutral, while Remrin turned advantage state into her personal playground. Why am I bringing this up? Well, it's because Kento's Mewtwo plays a jack-of-all-trades style, with a well-balanced game plan that is decent at everything. While the lack of specialization can be worrisome, he makes up for it with his speed. Out of the 3, Kento by far plays the highest motor Mewtwo, taking advantage of his top-tier movement to grind positioning and force his opponents into immediate reactions. He fast falls his neutral air to land, and while Yara does a good job at spot dodging the down tilt, Kento spaces well to avoid the cross-up and jab him off stage to bring the game back to even. He also loves these retreating Shadow Balls to condition jumps. Here he dashes back to whiff punish the Nair, and look at his positioning off stage, using confusion to stall himself to fall with Wolf and back airs on reaction. Fast forward to the last stock, and again we see Wolf off stage, Kento stalls with confusion, but this time Higusaki tries for a high recovery, and Kento's positioning allows him to react with a double jump bear. Really, his fundamentals and speed allow the rest of his game to shine. He down tilts to force a jump and low profile to forward air, up airs to catch the immediate landing, while confusion is brilliant Mewtwo platform pressure before ending in a double disable. But despite having a well-rounded game plan, Kento does have some areas of improvement. As the nature of being decent at everything, there isn't one particular area he excels at. He seems to forfeit various techniques in order to keep up with the rapid-fire movement. He basically never tap shield cancels, nor does he charge jump cancel, vital tech for Mewtwo to know. This might be online, but Kento is also pretty inconsistent with his combo execution, especially compared to other Mewtwo's. Correct timing on this fastball would have led to more damage, and he misses around 2 to 3 of these in a given set. Also, he has a bad habit of jumping out of disadvantage, and this is especially problematic for a character with as slow a double jump as Mewtwo. Here he doesn't even realize he burned his jump out of the jab and he dies at 20. Given these shortcomings, main speculations around Kento are twofold. Number 1, to what capacity can he implement modern Mewtwo tech? And number 2, how does his game translate to an offline environment? I am admittedly confident in his upside based off the speed he plays at, but only time will tell what advancements he makes to get to that next level. So, we have looked at 3 different Mewtwo's with radically different playstyles, strengths, and weaknesses. But the question still remains, who is the best Mewtwo? As you can see, it's not a simple answer, as I believe each of them are the best at specific aspects. Anbil clearly has the most knowledge and has the best defense of the character, Rem has one of the nastiest advantage states, and Kento plays at a speed that top level players should be playing at. I firmly believe all of them have the ability to get to that top player level if they shore up their respective weaknesses, but if I had to choose one, and I really don't want to, I would give the Mewtwo crown to Anbil, simply because I think his playstyle has the highest ceiling, and it will only get faster with experience. But regardless of who I think is the best, the takeaway of this analysis is just how versatile and unexplored Mewtwo is. As it stands right now, we don't know what is the quote-unquote correct way to play Mewtwo. All we can do is keep pushing ourselves and this character to the absolute limit. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it and learned something useful. If you did, let me know by leaving a like and subscribing for more Smash Ultimate content. Big shoutouts to Anbil, Remrin, and Kento as they are all phenomenal players. If you want to support them, all their social media is linked in the description. If there is a player you would like me to cover in an analysis, let me know in a comment below. That's all I have for now, and I will see you all later.
Yeah.